Three. Yeah. Welcome everyone to the second episode of Value Talks with Deepak Bajaj. Today, our special guest is a popular face in the education industry. He is none other than the Honey Charnalia, the technical director of RIU Global Services and very multi-talented, multi-expert, multi-vendor trainer in the telecommunication domain. Honey, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for inviting Deepak. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for your presence as well, Honey. So, to start off, could you give our viewers an overview of your background as well as your journey in the telecommunication industry?
So my journey in telecommunication industry started almost 16, 17 years back when I joined Aircom International as a product support and deployment engineer. So I was a part of that 15, 20 members team who was responsible for the end-to-end delivery and support of that planning tool. And later I joined, GTL and then Nokia. And after that, I became an instructor. I was a part of Nokia EDU, and in 2017, I started my own venture as RIU Global Services, where I'm currently serving as a technical director, product and services SME on telecommunication, and delivering multi-vendor trainings and consulting support for various customers all across the globe.
Wow, that's a perfect example. Moving from a product person, a specialist or the support specialist of the product towards the working with all the OEMs as well as to become a multi-vendor trainer. It's a big shift, and now as an entrepreneur. So,
Yes.
so how you feel about it?
Okay, it's always good to feel, when you have a kind of strength in a way, whatever you're doing. And I think, which I always believe that, you keep acquiring the knowledge. And if you get an opportunity to share that what you have, it's nothing like it. So I am really amazed and thrilled of seeing, every day what is happening to me as a person, and then how, a small impact, but little bit of change we can do it in the, ecosystem where we are. So it is actually a very, very fulfilling, feeling that you are actually contributing to the society
Yeah, yeah.
which you belong to. Yeah.
No, no, exactly. So that fulfillment is the actually the I should say is your purpose, right? So
Yes. Yes.
more you serve, more you get fulfillment. I totally resonate with you, 100%.
Yes.
Now you are part of that era. Where when the telecom started. In the Indian context, I should say in the form, and I can see the
Right.
the 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 phone, the landline phone had your background as well. So we all have seen that phase, right? So now, but
Right.
my next question here is like, if with your extensive experience, from all the phases, all the you are sitting in the multiple seats across the ecosystem from a product to OEM, as I mentioned, and now entrepreneur. So how do you see the telecom and ICT industry evolving, especially with the advent of technologies like 5G, the world of AI nowadays, as well as now the world is talking about the 6G.
So I think there are actually phases of transition, right? So as you rightly said, we are the people who have seen the golden days of telecom, right? Even though my official journey started a little bit later, but since I was having two elder brothers who were also the telecommunication engineers, so I know the telecom industry since 1999 when my elder brother started working with GTL and other telecom companies. So I have seen the phases when the money was too large in every context, right? We used to those were the golden days of telecom from the engineering perspective, right? So I am well aware of that. So then there are phases of transition, right? So whenever the technology evolves from 2G to 3G, then 3G to 4G, specifically when 4G to the IMS and VoLTE integration took place, that was the time when there was a need for integrating two different domains together, right? So that amalgamation of the SIP and the IMS expertise into the telecom was really amazing, right? Because they're the people who was having the knowledge of both IMS as well as telecom, was very easily be able to get jobs and hikes as they were expecting, right? So that was the phase which we have seen, right? How VoLTE and the voice services get integrated in 4G. And then comes the phase with 5G, where a lot of O-RAN integration took place, right? So now the telecommunication engineers need to know all the IT principles of Kubernetes, NFV, SDN, and all the NFV, SDN peoples need to know about telecom, right? So this is the phase where you need to brush up your knowledge, and the people who are brushing up their knowledge, who are getting the required skill set which is needed for the industry, they were actually benefiting, right? So this is the time when there is no differentiation between the IT and telecom, right? So now the IT people needs to know telecom, and the telecom people needs to know IT in order to survive in this ever changing industry. So change is very good for us because it brings a lot of competition, as well as it brings a lot of scope and opportunities for people who wants to be on top of everything else and increase their knowledge set. So yeah, so I think it's a really amazing time for all of us because of this transition which is happening. We are still a little bit slow as compared to what we were supposed to be, but still we have opportunities, right?
But how this is important because now there is a convergence, right, from IT to telecom and the vice versa. How difficult is it for the person who spent 20 years or 15 plus years in the same domain? What is your observation
Yeah.
on that?
So there is definitely a difficulty for sure, right? Because the people who become accustomed to certain ways of working, how they were basically operating, and suddenly you ask them to learn something totally new, so it becomes actually difficult. So we need to provide ecosystem
Mm,
for everyone to grow together, right?
yeah,
So it should not be like you should be expecting the same kind of learning path and learning curve for everyone, but so slowly and steadily we should keep investing our time in order to learn something new. So that's what I believe.
where you are bridging the gap. Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, perfect, perfect. No, it's make up perfect because nowadays the people are facing a lot of challenges. They want to do something new, but they don't have an helping hand to who can,
Yes.
who can assist them. So here your experience, your expertise, and your foundation of Rio will definitely help them. I resonate with you.
And I want to also add one thing, that whosoever who are learning also, right, the basic bottleneck that we feel is that you're trying to learn and trying to consume a lot of things, right, which basically becomes very difficult, and sometimes it is very heart wrenching also, that nothing is moving at all, right?
Mm.
So my suggestion to the people who are trying hard and to learn something new
Mhm.
is that don't always be a consumer, right?
Ah, yeah.
Right, be a producer of what you are learning also, right? Which simply means that you are the best example of that, that you started sharing something which you are also evolving as a person, right? Because I see a lot of content coming out from you on the areas where you are also learning, right? And same goes with me or with any other influencer, for that matter of fact, whether it is Sanjay or Abhijit, or a lot of other people who are working in these domains, that we are all trying to add value to whatever we are also trying to improve ourselves into. So
Yeah.
which actually puts you separate and apart from the rest of the crowd,
Yeah.
right? So remember everyone, don't be always a consumer, be a producer also, and take support from whosoever are already doing it. You may not be the best, as we are not the best at the beginning, but you can always improve, right? So yeah.
One more thing to add here, because it is very important for the people, is don't go for the perfection. You go for the progression. As what Honey mentioned, Just look at what you are doing. Producing is important. That give you a uniqueness, that gives you the authenticity, as well as this will improve you, like what is helping us as well, as we are progressing day in day out. And we understand that perfection will come later by obvious, but if you go for perfection right from day one, nothing will move. You will not move a needle. Am I correct, honey?
Yes, that is totally fine. Yes, and that's the purpose of we being discussing this, right? So that light, even if we are able to transform a single person, which could be you who is listening to us, that means our purpose is actually solved, right? So yeah,
Certainly, certainly. Right.
right.
One more important part here is so if we look at that ecosystem, there are two parts, right? One is the beginners, some are the real professionals, right? So basically, if I look from first category of the professionals who want to thrive in this industry, which is now a convergent industry, so what is your recommendation, how they should invest their time and efforts to stay relevant as well as to stay ahead of their curve? So any some guidance on that?
Yeah, actually, as I said, and we have already started in that phase to improve, right? Ourselves also. Like previously, there was content which was created and delivered by me, and then we, started an ecosystem wherein we take support from the experts in the industries, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there are certain experts who are open and free to become in front, and then be a part of, be the owner of their own content. And then there was some other set of people who want some support in order to improve what they are doing, right? So we started giving them hand holding support in order to improve their own content, right? And if in case you don't want your identity to be revealed, we are able to make sure that they remain anonymous and their identities remain concealed. Still they can showcase their skills, and then still they can take something out of it, right? However, if you have seen few of those courses which are doing really well on my Udemy are actually created by the industry experts itself, right? So we have got one course called 5G end-to-end lab, and then there was another course called 5G core network design principles, right, which has been newly launched, and both of them are doing kind of well than expected, right? And it has been created by the industry experts, right, who are already into job but still wants their content to be shared with the people, right? So yeah, we are already doing it, and it is beneficial for everyone, right? For them as well, because they are co-owner of the content, and then for the people also, because they can get access to a quality content at a very reasonable price, and we can use our skills in order to put it in the right frame structure and all that, and then provide it a right space for the audience to go over those courses and the contents, right? So that is what we are doing it at our part. And then for whichever course we are delivering for our customers also, we make sure that there is a background a team which is working in order to improve the course. So when we go and deliver, it is not only a single trainer who is responsible for the training, but in the background there are multiple teams which are working, right, to make our content very rich and relevant for the industry. And we make sure that we have the right set of case studies which are required. We make sure that there is a backing of the industry experts for whichever things we are speaking and giving the content to the customers, right, that we are. So both ways, whether it is B2C segment or B2B segment, we make sure that in the background there's a lot of work which keeps on happening every single point of time. Yes.
Yeah, yeah. So, honey, I totally agree with you because creating a content and presenting it, there are two different things. And obviously, it's not a one-man show. You'd have a good team, which I know personally as well. And the second thing, just for the all the viewers, the the specialty of honey is that when he creates a content, he creates it in a very simple language. So sometimes it seems that if you're talking about the advanced technology 5G, which is a hype in the market and very complex, but when you go with the honey's course or honey thought process, let's not talk about course, let's talk about the thought process. He make it very simplified so that you can, as a fresher, as a beginner, or as an expert or a professional working in the industry, you can understand that concept and that fundamentals very easily. And that's the beauty of Honey, and that come with 17 years of experience, which is holding right now. So thanks, Honey, for making it more simplified, because the courses are available, the programs are available, but who understand the pulse of your audience? That is, no one, no, most of the people fail into that, and you are expert into
Yes.
that,
Yes.
right?
Because the best thing about the content right now is that everything is available for free.
Yeah,
Even if it is vendor specific, non-vendor specific, most of the information which are available, they are all available for free, right? So
right.
you can go over the 3GPP, references, technical specifications. You kind of get the pulse of each and every feature functionalities. So only after you are done with that, you just see the vendor specific documents once or twice, and you are, well versed. But the way we consume, and the way we can retain that particular knowledge in our brain is only by connecting it towards a normal day-to-day analogy that I always try to keep in my content and my courses, right? So that's the best way to keep the knowledge retained, right? So
Yeah,
yeah.
and that creates a huge impact always, because when you make a theoretical connected with your practical, it will give you that information, that insights, which always remain in the heart, not in the brain, because
Yes.
brain generally gets washed.
Right.
you know and I
Yes.
always talk about one thing: the free is the most expensive word nowadays. Everything is free, so free doesn't have create any value, right? Or even it's there, but if you put your skin in the game, you will definitely be committed. So your commitment is more important than the programs, right? This is
Yes. Yes.
the
Exactly. Exactly. That's a very valid point, because it's the same thing. If you pay, let's say, $10 for learning something, and you pay $100 to learn the same technique, your commitment level will be different in both the cases, right? And
true.
I myself has personally experienced it, because from last 10 years, from the time when I started my training journey until now, every single year we invest a big part of our earnings into getting access to more and more content, and to learn something from the industry. So I don't give any hesitation to pay something and learn from a course if I think it is relevant to. And I think that has really helped me, because the problem with most of us, what happens is, and I was also a part of it, that once we start earning money, we want to save that money, invest into either property, gold, or any other mutual fund. But I will tell you one thing: the best investment is that if you invest in your own learning, because that is the only way you can multiply the investment that you have made on yourself into multifolds, right? And
Okay.
I'm myself is an example that has multifolded my investment in every single year passing by, right? So
Just a secret for everyone, open secret: the sellers
go on.
are the buyers, right? The,
Yes.
the the person who sells, he buys the most. If you want to sell more, you have to buy the more, and that's the universal law, right? Of the So yeah, thanks, Honey, for sharing that. I want to touch base of one important topic here, especially which is very sad, and you have seen a lot of content coming from me on the LinkedIn and the social media, is about the layoff, which actually hurts a lot. So
Yes.
so if I look from a industry specific, and specifically from a telecom part, we have experienced that there is a slowdown, there is a challenges, and the termination and forceful termination is very, very normal nowadays. As per the report, that 28,000 layoff has been done so far in 2023, and that's the official record. Unofficial, we don't know, right? So in your perspective, why do you think we observe these type of trends, these type of slowdowns, and how the professionals who are affected can navigate through this journey?
Yes. So this is actually, a very well-known truth, that the businesses are actually run to keep and make profits, right? So this thing, which is, I believe, everyone has to be very, very clear on, right?
Yeah.
If you are into any business, right, the ultimate aim of that business is to keep it sustaining, and that can be possible if it is profit making, right? So nobody in the whole world can keep on making losses and then sustain it, right?
Yeah.
So from the business owner's perspective, it is very relevant that if required, to shorten up the team or to cut down on the extra expenses in whichever way, that will be possible. And we have seen it in the past, right? There has been one company who has laid off almost all the people, in a particular domain. And then there was another Indian company who used to manufacture the radios and all. So they have totally stopped their operations in one of the team, and there has been a big layoff in those areas, right?
Yeah.
So it is important. And now, so from the business perspective, it may be relevant, but we as an employee of the company also need to understand this, that if in case you are doing a job in some company, it will not give you a guarantee that you will be there forever, right?
Yeah.
So that is where our Indian mentality plays a very harsh role, right? Because we come from the families, wherein only one person is working, and the rest of the
Dependent.
family members are actually dependent on a single income, right? So that somehow influence our overall ways of thinking, and the DNA, it is a part of our DNA, right? We have seen our families grows like that,
Mm-hmm.
which basically gives us a kind of satisfaction that if I'm in a job, it is going to be secure. So in a way, these kind of layoffs are actually triggering that mentality and challenging and questioning that mentality, that you are not safe, right? So either you do business, or you do salaries, or you get salaries and you are doing a job, you are at equal risk,
Mm-hmm.
right? So now you need to understand this mentality first. If that is settled up, that you are not permanent in any of the job, then you can think and work on it, right? So it is important, even if you are in a job, to keep evolving yourself, right? To find out the avenues, to find out the opportunities to grow as a person, and to make sure that you use every single opportunities to contribute to the people around you in a way that will help them, right? So those kind of mentalities which I have seen very common in telecom industry for specifically is that if I have certain knowledge, I will keep it to myself, right? I will not share it with others. If I have certain opportunities, I will keep it to myself, I will not share it with others. So that mentality will not work in this
Yeah.
very fastly changing environment, right? So we need to make sure that if there is an opportunity to help someone, you should come forward and contribute. If there is an opportunity to share something, you should come forward and do your best, right? Irrespective of whether you are in safe hands, not safe hands, but please try to contribute towards the overall, it's very simple, right? Be the person which you want other ones to be, with you. so
Yeah.
so that's what I believe. And I've seen people who are sharing job opportunities, who are helping people to crack the interviews and all, are you know uh, never have a problem on getting a job, right? So yes.
Yeah, it's a so yeah, so that I think there are two main key takeaways. The first one you mentioned is the mentality. That is the biggest hurdle of individual. So as you mentioned, employee or employer both are the same risk, right? So the phases and the stage has gone. So you as an employer, as a business owner, you are on a risk. Same way, if you are an employee, you are on a risk. So the only thing which has to be triggered is the mentality, which is to be required. And the second which you talk about is the contribution. So that's a very important message from your side, honey. Thank you. Right. And in so if I look at this phase, because now let's talk about the people. One is who are still doing the job, and the second one who has been removed out. So what? one or two recommendations which you want to give it to them right now, uh, that how they can cover up this this hard phase of their life, right? So what, where they should contribute, how, what should they, where they should invest their time, because sitting idly giving a CVs to someone loan, and just waiting for others to get response, the patience and the patience level becomes zero. The idle time is actually a killing time, and obviously you have families to feed in. So every minute you are in a big pressure. So if you want to share something on that.
So I will tell, one of the sayings which my father told me when I actually, asked him that I want to leave the job and do something of my own. He said, the best time of getting into the business is when you are not desperate, right?
Hmm.
So not desperate about the money, or not desperate about, how the next meal is going to come. So
Yeah.
once you are comfortable on to, 6 months, 1 year of your expenses, how it is going to be taken care of, after that only you can think. So I would suggest, right, the people who are actually in a very desperate situation, so instead of that time, it should be more relevant for the people who are already, in a job, and who are already secure to think and do something about it, right?
Yeah.
So if you are at least in a very desperate situation, don't go here and there, prepare for your interviews, crack and get a job, right? So this is one thing. And then, I don't want you to experience or experiment much, right, before you get a job, right? So try to be relevant. Things you can do is, you can update your CVs on a day to day basis, because the most frequently you are going to update your CVs are better chances you have, to get a job, right? And then try to consume the content which you think is relevant for your, interview clearing process, right? Don't experiment much, try to be relevant to whatever you are learning, and then let's see, if you are at least getting the calls for the interview, you are still safe. And then when you actually are not even getting the interviews call, so that is the time when you actually need to think about it, right, whether you are going in the right direction or not. Seek support from an expert, right? What exactly is the problem, either in your CV or the way you have, profiled yourself. So get it checked, and then see if it is actually improving or not. And try to be a help, rather than try to seek for the help, right? Because nobody would want to speak to anyone who is always looking for something and not there to offer something, right? So my, offering for the people is that try to seek out an opportunity how you can support a given person,
Hmm.
right? So instead of going to someone asking, can you look for a job for me, or can you refer me to somewhere or something, instead of that, your approach should be how you can help that particular person in a way that he may be able to listen to you, right? So for example, if you see a job posting, whosoever has posted a job, and you think you are relevant, so try to offer a support that I have already worked on this and this, and I think, if you interview me instead of anyone else, it will be more helpful for you, because your overall effort to get a person, identified will be easily resolved, and I'm the right set of person you should be looking at. So that I think should be the approach, right? And once you are in a job, so always look for opportunities to help someone else if possible, right? That is not for the other person who is seeking help, it is actually for you, right? Because you are going to improve every single day, every single time when you try to add something, right? Because that again comes to the same fundamental, right? When you offer, you get more, right? So and that goes with the training also. The person who learns the most in the training is the trainer itself, right? So most of the time that has also been seen, right? So how you see that?
Maybe honey, maybe like again, it's a important part, because the now the person has time, but their emotions are not up to the mark because of that stuff. So how the Rio, your company Rio can help you, help them into that phase?
Right. So we generally, don't offer full-time jobs, right?
Mm.
but we do have, opportunities wherein you can always contribute in
Right.
one way or the other, right? So even if you say, we are a training company and you don't know how to train, you can't be of any help. That is not true, right? There are multiple ways you can support us, in terms of creating content, or in terms of, working with our other research projects which are ongoing. And then, you may contribute in one way or the other, right? However, sometimes everything is not about, one-on-one transactions, right? Sometimes we have transactions just like that, and then, it may give us result somewhere later on also. So it doesn't matter, right? So this is the thing, right? You should find out a kind of passion which you can do it even with or without money also. It doesn't matter, right? So that's the thing. Yes, sir.
So in short, all the viewers who are listening to this podcast, the important part is that you are still in the game, and you have to see the avenues where you can put your skin in the game. And I believe the efforts and the initiative of Honey, with the help of the Ryu, is will actually help you and promote you to be the to remain in the industry even if you are not working. So that can be a powerful message and very good insight. And thank you, Honey, for sharing that part, because not all the companies, not all the founders, not all the employers talk about on these language. Thank you so much. It will be of great help to the
My
people,
pleasure.
right? And before we move, because generally the people don't listen to the whole podcast because of the time scarcity. But any last word which you want to share with the
No,
team?
it's
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, so I think we have covered most of the points, right? And it is always a pleasure to speak somebody like you who has so much of intensive industry experience and who have seen so many phases. And I'm sure, people are going to listen to us. And if you are listening, right, the whole objective of this podcast is to ignite a small fire in you, right? And if you think, whatever we are saying over this podcast makes some sense, make sure that you contribute to the ecosystem that you are in, right? Because that is the only way you can help and grow, other people's also, and the same way you will grow. So don't think about it that if in case you have a knowledge, somebody else may overtake you and, become bigger than you. That is also good for you, right? We have seen examples like that, wherein, some of our team members have improved us, and every single time whenever there is an opportunity, they always help us, right? So and they will reach wherever they have to reach. So this is also an important. So you are not going to play any role, right? But if you think in your mind that you have contributed to somebody else's success, that actually kinds of gives you the fulfillment, right? So that fulfillment is very much important, right? Because ultimately everything at the end is a feeling, right? So if you are feeling accomplished, if you are feeling that you have contributed, that feeling itself is more than enough to get that actual success, right? So my father always says that if in case you want to achieve something, you in your mind always believe that you have already achieved that, right? And make a party for that achievement first, invite the friends, give them a party in your own mind that you have already achieved that particular success. And then after that, when you take the actions, it becomes seamless, right? So your actions will actually turn into results, right? Because you already have that result. So that if you have that feeling of accomplishment, you can achieve anything, so if you are looking for a job, think in your mind that you already have got that job, you already have that offer in your hands, and then you start preparing for it, right? And then you will see your results are actually turning into reality, right? Your efforts are turning into results, and the results are turning into a reality which is ultimately there as a feeling itself, right? So
Yeah, yeah. You know, I totally resonate with you, Honey. And important thing is, if you are, to consider one more part, that money is always a byproduct. Money will follow you if you are following your dreams, your passion, and you are first. There are two things to get executed. Everything has to done twice. The one is in your mind. The second one is
Yes.
on the is on the when you execute it. The challenge here is
Yes.
the people want to execute first and then they think about it. So it's a reverse
Right.
engineering in the for most technical people over here. They like reverse engineering word. So it's a reverse engineering. Think about that what Honey mentioned, dream about it, commit about it, party around it, right? And then once you feel relaxed, that will give you a more momentum to exceed. And money
Yes.
will follow you. That's not a challenge. Money will follow you
Yes.
because at the end of the day, you are working for money, right?
Yes.
Simple, right? So from that perspective, I think, Honey, yeah, it's a very, very great insight. There are so many key takeaways which you have given, especially, and I like the most about the mentality, about the ecosystem, because if you are not part of that ecosystem, you will be in your selfish mode, in your small era, which you will never grow. And most of the business are actually shutting down because they are working with a handful people or in a small era. And yeah, there are so many tips which you are given for the people who are in a desperation mode, that what they can use in their free time, and what could be the next way forward, as you have given some offers to them as well. So I think, it's a great insight from your side, Honey, and I believe the people over here will listen to it, will understand it, and if you implement only 1% of that tips, that will be a game changer for you. I'm 100% sure about it.
We are actually looking for that same
1%.
1% of the people, right, sir? Yeah.
Right. So with that, I conclude this podcast, Honey. Thank you for your time, and definitely I will be, taking your time for some new stuff which is in the market in the coming weeks. That's for sure. And just to give a small part about me, that I'm in the on the mission of 1K, which means that I want to transform the life of 1000 sales professionals who are struggling to get the things closed. So that's my mission. And if you associate yourself with some mission, you will feel more fulfilled. And that's what there. And there's a value seller, is not a, the people talk about what is the value seller. It's not about a book. It includes a lot of options, which I call it as a mentorship. So I'm proud to say I'm India's first value seller mentor for the techpreneurs, again, the technology guys, to achieve their 3x sales. So stay tuned with me. There are so many, there are other podcasts which are coming, and that will give touch base with some different aspects of the life. Not always engineering. There are some other ways which has to be explored, which you will be hearing very soon. So thank you, Honey, for your valuable
Thank
time.
you.
And I'm pretty much sure the people have definitely taken a lot of inputs, lot of key takeaways, and again, 1% implementation will change your life. Thank you so much. Take care.
Right.
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.